When Everybody Wants Some came out in 2016, it was treated as a lesser B-side to Dazed and Confused, a meandering hangout film that had neither the quotability nor instant pop culture impact of Richard Linklater's sophomore effort. However, at its core, it represents the entire thesis of Linklater's filmography. Everybody Wants Some strips away the artifice from the college film to create something that's quietly, at times profoundly, understated and truthful. There's no stuffy dean or rival frat antagonist, and the closest thing to a climactic party scene has the two tribal cliques coming together in an awkward fellowship, rather than a contrived conflict. It's episodically structured because that's what the authentic college social experience is. Minor moments of drinking, cracking dumbass jokes, shooting your shot with girls, and just plain bullshitting around that, with the passage of time, become potent, nostalgic memories. And nobody does nostalgic hangout movies better than Richard Linklater. Whatever is lacking in a centralized plot, Linklater and the cast make up for in the sheer vibrancy of the characters. It's like an anthropological study of collegiate baseball players of the early 80s. Their language, their hyper-competitive hierarchies, and especially their, mating rituals.
I feel like the Astros are gonna make it to the World Series.
1980 was also an inflection point for the culture at large. With disco on its way out, you had a bunch of other musical subcultures vying to fill in the void. Country, punk, new wave, and of course, hair metal. It was the perfect moment to be 18, and in search of an identity, or just to be completely fluid and ride the vibes wherever you go. Yet you don't need to have lived through this era, or even be a jock to fall in love with the boys of Southeast Texas University. Their stereotypical dick-swinging bro affect belies a quirky and endearing thoughtfulness. In many ways, the 2-hour runtime feels way too short. You want to see how Jake and Beverly's relationship blossoms over the course of a semester, or if the high-strung Jay Niles becomes a minor league burnout, or just where Willoughby's transient baseball spirit journey takes him next.
You can play an E pentatonic scale at 100 miles an hour till somebody's ears burn off. You can learn that, right? But finding the tangents within the framework, therein lies the artistry, man. You know, fucking bunch of dudes jump around on stage, jerking each other off, in spandex isn't fucking music.
I don't know, man. I kind of like Van Halen.
Yet the ellipses where the movie ends is an oddly satisfying final note. Trying to tie a bow neatly on these players' stories is counter to the entire vibe of the film. Jake even evokes the myth of Sisyphus, a story with no definitive end or resolution, but when looked at through a certain lens, becomes a tale of stubborn triumph, of amplifying our experience through greater consciousness.
And the point of the whole thing is that the gods intend for Sisyphus to suffer, right?
Right.
Well, my point was that they'd actually blessed him with something to focus on. Something that he could potentially find meaning in. And it's a gift to be striving at all, even if it looks futile to others. Just accepting whatever comes my way, Good, bad, doesn't matter. What matters is just getting in that groove, where the whole world kind of goes away and just doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
The individual elements that make up collegiate nostalgia, the keggers, the sexual adventures, and the soundtrack that plays over them, is all inherently kind of frivolous. The meaning people get from these fleeting episodes, in the sage words of Willoughby, is finding the tangents within the framework, and shaping yourself as a person around that experience. It's the unifying theme across Richard Linklater's work. Jesse and Celine suspending themselves in the moment in the Before Sunrise trilogy. Boyhood forming a profound portrait of American life in the Bush era, out of a long-form and largely improvised production. And of course, Dazed and Confused, encouraging us to keep
Livin.
Everybody Wants Some more than deserves to stand among those films as Linklater's best. And while at least 3 members of its cast have become bona fide stars, Glenn Powell is the most attractive a person of any gender has looked in a movie, the film itself has yet to receive its proper due.